Rachel's on.
If you can figure that out.
Yeah, it's recording, man. Go for it.
Okay, sweet. Awesome. Welcome aboard. Yep, and Hunty's just jumped on. Epic. So welcome to the Monday night call, guys. Thanks for jumping on. Good to see all your faces. Tonight is going to be an absolute ripper of a call because we're doing the recap of the Real and Raw event that a few of us went to a couple of weeks ago with all the millionaires up on the Goldie. So I'm sure the guys had a similar feeling to me from that event. It was the best, arguably the best event I've been to in terms of takeaway content, actionable stuff, and just general feeling that you get from it. It was no rah-rah, no bullshit. Really just all the guys that have done it, sharing exactly how they did it. Yeah, it was awesome. And what we've decided to do is just get everyone that was there just to share their top 3 takeaways that have actually shifted things for them. So when you go to events, there's lots of stuff that's said, but what you're going to get tonight are the things that have actually caused people to take a step forward in their business since the event. Because that's really at the end of the day, and that's what they said. Everyone was like, oh, we need to do another one of these events. Like we need it down in Melbourne, we need it in Perth. And all of the leaders were like, yeah, awesome. Show us that it was worth doing and grow your business. Because if you don't grow your business, then we're not going to do another one. Because otherwise we're just blowing smoke up each other's skirts. So it was really cool. It was just no bullshit. And so you're going to get some good stuff. So I hope you've all got pen and paper and you're ready to write some notes. And on that note, little segue, I'm going to get the lovies to kick things off and share their takeaways first to get the ball rolling. And then I'll get Judy to follow them. So Judy, you can get all prepped and ready to follow the loves.
Thanks, Tully. Should we, you threw me out because it says Rory under you and I just got totally confused. Should we be real and raw tonight? I'm not sure. What do you think? Should we say it how it is from the way we took it?
Yeah, definitely.
We all know
I reckon, that. Yeah, like that's the biggest thing I took from that event was like,
yeah,
stop sugarcoating things for yourself and just get real with where you're at. Like, yeah. And wherever that is, that's the thing. They were like, yeah, this is what it takes if you want this. And if you want it done in this time, and if you don't, that's cool. It might take 10 years, but this is what it's going to take. Like, so I think, yeah, get real with what I think you took away and how it's actually played out in your business since and in your life since. A lot of the stuff I took away has transferred into other areas of life too.
Yep. Cool, mate. So yeah, straight away then my first one was, which we know, and I'm not going to go into figures or anything like that, but the millionaires said it takes 7 to 10 years from start up to hitting a millionaire. Now that's the average Joe, of course. Like we did hear from the millionaires and people will share on this tonight a lot about their backgrounds and, you know, where their journey started from. I know for Rhea and I worked for somebody else my whole life. I've started a small business, not much of a business background. Rhea did uni and was a school teacher. So our business background, you know, we're not starting 10 years ahead of anyone else. So we're definitely in it for the long haul. Obviously the stats, they tell you so many things, but lots of people drop out of this game early. Okay, so, you know, you might do a year of it and not see a lot of money in the bank, and then lots of people quit. Like I said, I'm not going to go into the facts and figures about it. If I'm going to be raw and real about it, both our executives have 0 consultants at the moment. So after 2 years, Rhea and I could have quit like that 2 months ago, but we haven't. We're rebuilding. We're loving it. There's fresh energy. A lot of the old energy is firing as well. But we could have quit. I can tell you that right now. Like everybody thinks because we've won trips and we've done this and everything's all great. It hasn't been all of the time. It's been up and down. And, you know, Rory showed us his chart at one of the Bali retreats. It's like this the whole time. And then you get the spikes and then you have the troughs as well. So, yeah, if I'm going to be honest about it, we've gone through a lean patch ourselves and we know that it's a 7 to 10 year plan. So we're not going anywhere. there's nothing better than this out there. And we're going to stick at it and we're going to continue to build. So that was my first takeaway. I knew that, but I wanted to be honest with everybody tonight and tell you that it's not always peachy and rosy, and there is difficult things about it. And we've learnt that lately, and being honest about that with people is the best thing, because you don't want people to compare to you when you're not actually at the top where people actually assume you are. So that was my number one takeaway. The second one I did share after a little bit about it. So if everybody's got a pen and paper, just draw a squiggly line like this, up and down, if you feel like writing it out. Obviously, a lot of people were there, so you won't need to. And I shared on the receptive zone. So Jackson Parr obviously shared on this. You've got, obviously, the up is when people are feeling amazing. Down is when people are feeling at their dumps. And then your receptive zone, if you want to draw two lines through your squiggles, a little bit above the middle. So it's, near the top, but it's not right down the bottom. This is all about follow-ups, guys. And Jacko shared how he followed Alan Hilsinger up 18 times. So, once again, a lot of people quit. It goes back to that first thing. If we quit following people up after a couple of times because we're in our heads about it, who knows who you've lost? And Jacko would have lost his biggest builder, one of the, top income earners in isogenics, if he had stopped following up and he was in his head about it. 18 times, he never got a no, he kept following up. And all of a sudden, Alan Hilsing is a millionaire and he's downline. So that receptive zone, I think it's 5 to 12 is the average follow-ups you've got to do with a prospect. We've got people on here tonight, Shanae. I think it took Rhea about 12 months. I think she figured out it was maybe between 30 to 50 follow-ups. Now, a follow-up can be, hey, how you been? It's just checking in. Holly on here as well she wanted to start with Rhea because Rhea just kept asking her how she was. It wasn't a, hey, do you want to do isogenics? Do you want to join our business? It was, hey, how's your health going? Like you said, you were going to try something new. How's that going for you? Until it got to a point where Holly had enough and she was ready. So the receptive zone, it's a massive.
I don't know if you can, it's going to be hard on the phone. It kind of looks like that. And then did you talk about the next bit? About people dropping out of the sky? So he sort of, you talk about it. It's your point.
Yeah, so it's basically, like Rhea's touching on there, like you've got to fill the funnel a lot because people are going to be at different points on that chart. That's the whole point in talking to a lot of people, because you're going to find people that do just drop out of the sky. They're in that receptive zone. They're ready to start. You might message a person once and they're in that receptive zone and you think you've hit the jackpot. The next person might take 20 times. So just continue to fill that funnel.
That was his point. I don't know, again, if you can quite see that, but if you have heaps of conversations going on, yeah, thanks, Tal. Tal's looks somewhat neater.
Yeah.
So, yeah, if you've got lots of people going through there, then more are going to be hitting in that receptive zone.
Yeah, so the beauty of filling the funnel, guys, and you might find you have 10 are in that receptive zone at once. That seems to be a bit of the way it works. Like you hustle, it feels hard. Then all of a sudden there's a heap of people that are in there and they're ready to go. So keep filling that funnel, guys. And my third one, this is Ben Kelly. I resonate with him. I'm learning to be a little bit more compassionate because it is something that I definitely need to work on. But Ben Kelly just said, would you prefer I show compassion to your goals or to your excuses? So obviously you do have to show compassion to people. People do set goals though and do let things creep in. So I know for us it's great to have each other as accountability and giving each other that permission to, not be compassionate to excuses and our goals, because we have goals. So I really, really enjoyed that from Ben. Obviously he's very honest and straight to the point. I do like that. Like I said, I believe you need to have a good, healthy balance there. But if you've got goals, don't give compassion to your excuses. Focus on the goals, pull yourself up, have accountability to it, and really, get the excuses out of your vocabulary and really focus on that goal at hand. That's me, guys.
Love it.
Awesome, love it. Thanks heaps. I actually have the opportunities to share not 3 but 6 points with you because Matt, our other friend, so Matt and Mon, Matt was able to come up to the Gold Coast with us and go to the event. So that was, he'd been to a Super Saturday, but this was sort of his first major event, and he's actually got another business call on tonight. So he's sent through his 3 takeaways. So I'll do his 3 first, and then I'll share what mine were. So, and I'll just have to make sure that my phone doesn't keep locking so I can share those with you. So for Matt, his first one was from Jackson Parr, and Jackson talked about 5 reasons why people are telling you no. And the one that stood out to Matt was the point that he made about never assume it's a no. So, and this obviously comes down to, the fortunes in the follow-up and what a lot of people do. And this was the example that he gave, and it was incredible. So he showed screenshots of his series of follow-ups that he did with Alan Hilsinger, so they're both now obviously millionaires, and both was shared on the day. 18 follow-ups it took. And there were some times where he would send Alan a message just checking in like, hey mate, how was your weekend? How'd the basketball tournament go? Pretty keen for that coffee. Are you free this week? And Jack goes up there going, crickets. Then he'd send him another one. Hey man, how's the family? Hope you're having a good week. Crickets. Like, so he said, he was just saying like never, a lot of people would see that Alan's seen the message and never wrote back. So they assume, he's not interested. I'm not going to keep bothering him. But that's what's just going on in our heads. So yeah, Matt really took a lot out of that. Never assume it's a no. It's just about that follow-up.
And I'll just quickly share, sorry guys, I'll jump in every now and again, no doubt. Just a quick example on that for me lately, and I don't like to use myself as an example too much, but this is a pretty big one. I was following a guy up for about 6 or 8 months. He was keen, money, this and that, needed to drop weight. He actually sent me a photo of the scales near the start. He said, I'm 107 kilos. So I actually kept that photo and I sent it back to him. I said, how are these going, mate? Have these budged? He enrolled about 3 weeks ago with his wife, his daughter and his sister. So started as a consultant and his wife enrolled the sister. So 4 people started in one hit. I reckon there was 5 or 6 times in a row where I would just follow him up. Hey, mate, how'd you go at footy this weekend? Hey, mate, how you been? I'd shoot him the little picture of the scales every now and again and go, has this number moved, mate? A little bit strategic. And he started with 4 people. I could have quite easily let that one slide, but it brought 4 new people and a consultant into our business.
Awesome. Thanks, Lovey. The second one for Matt was from Ben Kelly, and Ben was talking about, the quote was, motivation is not needed when you're in alignment. So he was talking about how motivation doesn't come extrinsically. It is that intrinsic inspiration. So, and when you're in alignment, you don't need motivation, inspiration from anywhere, because you are within your genius. You are working within your gifts, and it feels good. So, Ben, there are other people sharing on Ben as well. So I'll keep them a bit shorter and snappier. And his third one was from Jen Patch. And Jen was talking about moving away from perfectionism. And she actually gave the example, get it 80% right the Google way. And she talked about how Google, we all think Google is, it in a bit, and we all use Google. Google's not perfect though. And they just they just give it a go and they just get out there and get into action, and their strike rate is 80% right. You know, like they still get some things wrong, and they modify it and they change it and they improve it. And that's what Matt really loved about what Jen was talking about. It's like, remove the perfectionism, because if you want to get it 100% right, you'll be just like a deer in the headlights going, well, I don't know. Is it going to be right? Is it not? Like, so just get on in there and start, you know, getting into action with that. So those were Matt's 3. Now my 3, the first one that I wanted to share with you was also from Ben Kelly. And Ben talked about looking at yourself. And so Lovey shared about that 10-year plan. And that actually, for me, like, that was a reoccurring theme for the actual event. But the person you see in 10 years' time, so look at yourself in 10 years' time. What traits are they expressing that you are currently suppressing? So in 10 years' time, what are traits that they're expressing or that you're expressing that you're currently suppressing? And he got us to think about that, and I loved it. He got us to really get in that moment. And in 10 years' time, where are you going to be? Who are you going to be with? What's going to be around you? Because, guys, you stick at this for 10 years and you know what the reality is. You know that we'll be one of those 11 who are on stage with 7 figures, serving, helping, you know, contributing. And, you know, so for me, it was a lot around gratitude. It was a lot around thankfulness. It was, you know, I thought, yes, I need to bring more of that into now so that, you know, that can be that reality in 10 years' time. My second one was from Alan and Larry. And I really loved how Alan and Larry I really loved how they shared together. They were amazing, and they were talking a lot about treating it like a legitimate business. And they actually talked a lot about investing into the business. And, you know, if you're actually treating it like a business, like they were talking about, you know, even looking at your PIBs to be directly injected back into your business. Now, whether that is purchasing event tickets for your team, or whether that's, you know, helping your team out with flights or accommodation or whatever that looks like. A lot of it was PD for them. So, you know, actually working on their personal development and doing different, you know, events, courses, that sort of thing. And they were talking about their master list and really knowing your numbers. So what did they term it? Something in measure. Hang on, I had it written in. But so they were talking about, which I thought was really interesting, having a master list from the start. And they got people in the room to put up their hands who had a master list from the start. And not many people did. So it is one of those things that, you know, it constantly evolves, but you need, test and measure is what they were talking about. So
thanks, Racy.
Which is right.
Which is right.
Thanks, babe. So yeah, having that, they actually handwrite it. But for me, I like it so I can look alphabetically. So I'm a little bit more into the electronic, but however it looks for you, it's just really important to know your numbers. Like, be accountable to yourself, to your team, to your partner, whatever. How many calls are you making? How many 3-way calls are you doing? Who have you contacted? Who have you followed up? How many times have you followed them up? How many people have you added to your cleanse page or sent a tool? Like, if you're not actually looking at these income producing activities and really checking in on yourself with that, then what are you measuring up against? Like, it's very difficult. And if you were a business owner, that's what you would have to do. You would have to know your numbers, and you would have to check in and report in on that. I know I did it even as a teacher. I had to test my students, and then it comes to, you know, a business where, yeah, it's different, and we, you know, no one is actually holding you accountable, so it is important to do that yourself.
And the one thing you can guarantee, every one of those 11 millionaires, A, knows their numbers, B, has spoke to thousands more people than any of us, and that's the only way they've got good at what they do, is through repetition and just knowing it.
Yeah Awesome. And my last one, super quick, because, yeah, this is exciting. This takes a while, is Jen Jeffries. And she was talking about the one difference. So this was hers. The one difference between them and us, as in the 11 millionaires who are up there and us, is what we tell ourselves. So, and it came simply down to that. She said, it is the fact that we still have noise in our head. She said, you know, like I go down the street and there'll be people there to speak to and that noise goes on. It's like, nah, I'll be bothering them. They don't really want to talk to me. What am I going to say? I don't really know. But the difference is she will stand there and she'll go, no, that's just noise. I don't speak to that person, and one of the 62 children in the orphanage that I support doesn't get fed. So she said, you know, you turn it around and it just becomes like a fire, like burning within you that's linked to your why, it's linked to your passion, it's linked to why you're doing this. And for me, I see people down the street, and I've shared this with a few people already. I don't talk to people and I don't bother to get their contact, and it's another day that Lovey has to go back to work or, you know, freeze his hands off out landscaping. So for me, that's a driving force to be like, no, who am I to not speak to them so that I can't serve more people? So that was mine.
And if you don't have anything, find it. If you don't have kids, you don't have a partner, find a reason. Like Jen can't have kids, she's adopted them. So she's got a pretty big driving force.
Yeah, definitely. And that really linked in with how Jen started, hey, and she got people to get real with their why from the very beginning, and that linked in with that point exactly. Because when it comes down to that in the split moment, time and time again, unless you're linking it back to that, that is the difference. It's not this big grandiose thing. It's just the chat is always going to be there. So how often can you redirect it to actually income producing and moving where you want to move? Epic. Thanks, guys. That was gold. Awesome shares, legends. Yeah, from Rach. Cool. So I'll get Judy to unmute, and Jack Attacks in there as well. And yeah, Judy, I'll just get you to share your 3 main takeaways.
Sure, we'll do. So hi everybody, I hope everybody had a fantastic day. I'm so excited to share my 3 takeaways. So first of all, this event was so epic for me. It was just one day, but for me it was more exhausting, or let me say overwhelming, more than the celebration, because it was just like one speaker after the next speaker without a break, just boom, 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 so many informations. I couldn't write down anything. I talked to Ria today and I said, oh, actually I don't have that much notes. I just tried to remind the very important things for me and just have these three things. I think it's really important for me, and I would love to share that with you. So the very first thing, it's very easy, and it's literally called, this is simple, this is easy, this is fun. We all have some struggling moments, or struggling with our businesses or whatever, and we tend to say, oh, I won't reach that, I cannot do that, or I'm not in the mood, or whatever. But actually, if you repeat this negative sentence, so it will, it's in your mind. Yeah, if you always say, "Oh, I cannot do that. I'm too tired for that," or "I will never reach this level, this next rank," or whatever it is. So it will definitely be in your mind, and that will happen. So if you have a sentence like, "This is simple, this is easy, and this is absolutely fun," and just repeat it 1,000 times, and you will definitely, you go on this task with a positive vibe. So it's about the positive mindset. And as Tali said, so you also can transfer this to some other situations in your life. For example, I actually brought this to my PT sessions in the gym to go through my Eyes and Body challenge. And so all the leg days were for me really like
Big guns.
Shut up. And so all these leg sessions were for me really, really, because my PT really pushed me. And literally one session I cried. And I tried to say myself, oh, that's easy. But I said it more with a funny face, like, yeah, that's easy. So, but after this event, I took this with me and I sat in this leg machine, this leg press, and said, okay, this is easy, this is simple and so much fun with a kind of positive aggression in it. So, and I could teach my PT to say that to me every time when he could see in my face, okay, she's really on her limits. And so I taught him to say to me, hey, Judy, this is simple, this is easy, this is fun. So because I was completely out of breath, I couldn't think or say that to myself. So he literally did it. So, and so that's how I go through my PT sessions, and that really helped me to push my limits. And this is really easy. So, and I think everybody knows that. So if you have a negative mindset, you will never get a step forward. So you will stuck in this mood, and try to find yourself a positive mindset. And I really love this sentence. It's easy, it's simple, and it's, of course, it's fun. This business is fun. Isogenics is fun, and it's literally really easy and simple. So yeah, that was the first one. It was from Jen Patch, actually. So, and the second is also from Jen Patch. And this is really a hard one for me. And it's called It's My Fault. So it's all about power. So if you blame someone else and say, okay, it's not my fault, it's him, it's or whatever fault, then you give all your power to another person. So only if you say, you're capable to say, okay, it's my fault, then you have the power to change a situation, circumstances, or something, because it was your fault. You can learn something from this lesson, and you can change it. You can, the next time you will do it better. And okay, I'm from a big family. I have 11 siblings, and I used to say, this is not my fault. It's his fault or her fault. Better blame your siblings with 12 kids, and instead of being the black sheep and kick your butt from your siblings. So this is really hard for me to change this in my mind, to say, okay, whatever happens, it's my fault. And I try to have this the next time under control. I take the power to myself. I don't give it away. Never. Yes, sometimes I blame him. That's not.
Never your fault.
That's not. So this is really a hard one for me, and I'm still working on it. And I guess it will take a time. But this is so powerful. And so the third one is from Sarah and Nat, and it was a little exercise. It's about strength and grow. How do you grow your business? So if you have some things in your business you struggle with, and I'm pretty new in this business, I'm struggling with a lot of things, so I'm still learning. And so they said, think about what's your problem, what are you struggling with in your business, and then think about your strengths. So try to find something what you are really, really good, and try to relate it and take this to grow it. So for example, so I was always a competitive athlete when I was a teenager, and I'm doing sport. I'm really good at sport because I can push myself. I have a competitive mindset. So that's my strength. And so for example, in my sport activities, I always was disciplined. I always showed up even when I was sick, and I really reached some good goals through that. So, and I can actually use this. So I'm good in the sport, I'm disciplined, and I was good in showing up. How can I relate this to my business? So I thought, okay, more disciplined. I should do more, keep talking to people. As everybody can hear, I'm not from Australia. I'm from Germany, actually. So, and it's of course, it's another language for me, but I need to be disciplined. And when I'm outside and I want to talk to people, just do it. And even if I'm lazy sometimes, and everybody has these lazy days. So, and in my sport, it was even if I was sick, I showed up. So I relate this to my business. So even if I'm lazy or have a down day, whatever, I don't feel like or feel embarrassed or whatever it is, just keep talking to people. Share the good things of Isogenics. I'm the product of a product. I can show that, and I can share that. And yes, so this is one example from this exercise. And another one is I always can push myself to the highest limits when I do sport. Why not in my business? That's the question. So my goal to relate this strength to my business is, I have to step out of my comfort zone. I have to push myself to this limit, stepping out and just talk to people and connect with people first. So I don't have family here, or I have to build completely a new community. So I have to step out of my comfort zone and go out and show myself and share the good things of Isogenics. So that's my third thing, and I hope it makes sense. If not, just please ask. Or so that's hopefully that were my three things.
That was awesome, Judy. That was so good. I was there, and I still got more out of that. So that was really good. And speaking of getting outside your comfort zone, what a way to start doing it straight away by jumping on a call and sharing some takeaways. That was a little bit uncomfortable for you. So good job.
Thanks for Ria. She really in terms of that, she kicked my butt. I can still feel your foot.
Tough love.
No, it was awesome. I'm so grateful for that, and also thanks for the chat. And it was a great idea, Tali, to do a recap. So it really let me go through my notes, and so that gave me for today a very positive mindset.
Yeah, awesome, love it. Thanks for sharing. Epic. And what we'll do now is we'll get Rach to... Is Rach still there? No. Oh, yeah, there she is. Reese.
Reese. Confusing. Oh, hey, Al. You're so cute.
You're so...
Thanks, Tol. Thanks, guys, for sharing. Hey, I've really loved what everyone said so far. It's been awesome because I can totally relate, Tal. Like, I did not really look back at my notes, so this is so good that we're doing this. And I hope everyone takes like just the little nuggets that we took, because it was a really long event. So yeah, so my 3 takeaways were firstly from Bfree. I won't be too long. I'll try not to be too long too. So firstly, the power of intention. She talked about, I'm sure some of you guys have heard this before, that thoughts lead to emotions, emotions lead to action, and then action leads to results. So it's really like important to have that on your mind, with how you're showing up and thinking about those thoughts, emotions, and actions. And then I guess, how are you showing up with those thoughts, whether that's at home or in life or in your relationships or whatever, being really authentic with that. And the biggest thing I think I took that I heard from a few other people as well was, how are we showing up on social media? Because, as we all know, social media is probably like 80% of our business. A lot of us are quite young on here, so we use our Facebook and all that stuff. But they were saying, like, it was crazy because, we put all this stuff up on social media, like, oh yeah, like I hit this rank and I'm like, I earn this much amount of money and all this stuff. And it's kind of funny because it might not necessarily relate to other people, if that makes sense. Like, since when did we think it was cool to be like, oh yeah, like, oh my God, I'm like a millionaire now, woohoo. And it's cool to like share that, and I get that, but I think you have to share that journey as well. I don't know if that makes sense, but it's funny. I walked past Gabrielle Dean and she was asking what her takeaway, like what mine were, and she shared that that was hers, because she is, if you guys have all seen Gabby Dean, she is like a professional network marketer. She is constantly showing up on her social media, but she was like, oh my God, I can't believe that. Like, if I looked at me now, I would not recognize me. Like, when she was an accountant or whatever her job was, she would look at that and be like, oh man, that's gay. Like, you know, why are people putting that stuff up? So, yeah, that was just a little thing on social media. Like, be really conscious of what you're showing on social media, and don't get too, like, you don't always have to follow what everyone else is doing. Like, in regards to all the millionaires and stuff, be really authentic with yourself, and, you know, put up, you know, what is your highest value and all that kind of stuff. Anyway. Yeah, so showing your journey, not just the outcome. So the journey to millionaire, or the journey to 1-star, 2-star consultant, whatever. People want to see that authenticity. Yeah, and then also you have to know why you want to do the business. And this has been a really big thing for me, and I've been in this for the last 3 years, and I've always struggled with my why. I don't know why, but I just have. Yeah, I just think I've always been quite content in my life or whatever, and I've always had really small goals, but I haven't, you know, I always felt like, you know, contribution and stuff, I never knew about all that kind of thing, and I didn't know, but it was really cool because she said, if you don't know why you want to do it, just do it for the money. And then give it away. And that's a Michael Klaus saying. Oh my God, I'm so bad at talking. This is so embarrassing.
Keep going.
Yeah. So that was huge for me because I never really was always clear on my why, and I didn't really like my 30-second story because I didn't think it was impactful or anything like that. But I really like that it's okay to just have a small why and start with yourself and then go to family and then go to contribution, like at the right time. So yeah, that was a really big thing for me. And anytime you feel like quitting, go back to that why, even if it's just to earn a little bit of extra money or like pay off, like mine right now was to pay off a credit card. It's small, but it's still impactful for me. Yeah, so like, yeah, think about why you started, and then know where you're going. Oh yeah, know where you're going, and think and visualize how you'll feel. Yeah, so whatever your goals are, feel, think, and act when you are living that extraordinary life. Sorry, that's another point. Yeah, so if you want to hit millionaire, really think and feel into that, and then yeah, you know, create those thoughts, emotions, and actions through that. Yeah, okay. The second one was Adam and Jackie James. This is really, really simple, but really huge for me. You need to change your mentality from being an employee to being a business owner. And this is such a huge thing for me because forever I've always been an employee and I've always had that mindset. And it's taken me 3 freaking years to go, holy shit, like, why am I going to work going, oh my God, I've got to, like, we're going to America in, you know, 2.5 weeks. And I'm like, oh my God, I've got to like work extra hours to save up and blah, blah, blah. But it's like, why can't I do that? I shouldn't swear, do that stuff in my business and, you know, like put that energy and effort into my business. And I was like, oh my God, light bulb, seriously. Even Reese said this to me too. And I'm like, no shit, like, why am I not doing that? So I've had a big shift in my mentality of becoming a business owner. And it's been really challenging because I've never had my own business, or I've never really, you know, studied business or anything like that. So it has been a, like Lavi said, you know, like an up and down journey of learning to become, you know, a professional network marketer. But it's freaking exciting and it's freaking awesome. And if in 7 to 10 years I'm going to be a millionaire by sticking at it, I'm going to freaking keep doing this. So that's exciting. Yeah, and lastly, just really quick, Ben Kelly was my last one. He really smashed. I wrote a whole page of notes for him. But I also, Ria also touched on this, that motivation is not needed when you're in alignment, just to reiterate that. And basically, he talked a lot about the highest values, which Dr. DeMartini if you haven't heard of him, go look at him, go do the online quiz to find out what your highest values are. But so, you know, we all talk about going to events and having all this motivation and stuff, but, you know, he said motivation is what you do when you have low values. inspiration is when you have high values. So that was a big thing too, because we go to all these events to like get motivated to do the do, but we shouldn't need to be motivated when this, you know, if this is a high value to you, then, you know, you should have the inspiration to just do it. So that was a really big thing for me too. But yeah, I think that was all my point.
Epic. Love it, Rach. That was spot on. Love the little fire in your belly as well. I can feel it over here in Margs. We need a bit of that fire over here because it's freaking cold. So, yeah, that was epic. Cool. All right, guys. Well, if you're not full of knowledge bombs already, I'm going to throw a couple more at you just to wrap it up. So I had a lot of takeaways, and I've got my 3 favorite ones. My first one is from Jackson Parr. So put your hand up if you're a blue, if you've done the color code and you've got at least some blue in you. Yeah, wicked. So this one's for all the blues, because everybody write this down. Get your pen, write this down. Tension is the chemistry of sales. So the first part of that is like, yes, we're in sales. And all of the millionaires joked. They were like, remember back in the day when we thought we were just sharing stuff because we didn't, like, everyone was allergic to sales. Everyone's allergic to network marketing, and all of them own that they're in sales, that it's an honorable profession, and that good salespeople are the most charismatic people you find across any form of business. So the first part of that sentence is owning the fact that it's sales. But the second part is the tension, because people won't move if they're comfortable. Just like Lovey was saying, if they're in that zone where they're actually comfortable, then they're not going to move. So it's our job to create tension. And that's what Jackson's part of the cake recipe, the 7-step cake recipe. Everybody should be familiar with that. The job of that is to create tension. Now put your hand up if you can relate when you've been talking to somebody and they're getting to the point where they're talking about how they're feeling. There's a bit of tension being created. You can feel that they're uncomfortable. So you help dissipate the tension, either through humor or through comparison or through, oh, don't worry, old mate took 5 years to say yes as well. Ha ha, like, and because you don't want them to feel awkward and feel that tension. Is like that tension is what is going to shift them from being in a spot where they don't want to be to actually making a change. And us sensitive blue folk can get a bit weird about that. And he's like, that just landed for me and I just flashed back literally to all the times I was sitting in front of people and that tension was building and I was dissipating it and moving them away from the point of closing a sale or opening a door for them to actually making a change. So that point from Jackson, and that was back to his 5 reasons people are saying no to you, is this point number 2 was there's not enough tension. So tension is the chemistry of sales. With no tension, people won't move, people won't change. And that's what we're in the business of doing, is changing people's lives. And they just won't, you're not being a martyr. Like that's what I was thinking. I thought I was being such a good bloke, helping people feel comfortable all the time. And the fact is I was just being a bit of a pussy really. So it's just having the balls to sit in that tension. And apparently Kathy Coover, I haven't experienced it firsthand, but apparently Kathy Coover is just on a 3-way call. It gives them donuts. Just ask the question and then just sits there and they just squirm in their own answer until they're so uncomfortable that they're ready to do something. So point 1, tension is the chemistry of sales. So practice getting used to that. The second point I wanted to touch on was Jen Jeffries. She said this a few times. People won't follow you unless they can feel you. And this is huge because when we're stressed, we go into sort of like a defensive state, like that fight, flight, or freeze state. And most people are walking around stressed. And when we're stressed, we sort of start to operate from our head. We feel a bit more anxious. We're a bit more overwhelmed and we're sort of operating up here. That's not where decisions are actually made. So unless you can sit in your body, in your heart, and be felt and connect from there, that will give people an opportunity to drop into their body. And then they're going to really like that because they probably don't spend much time there. So And when they can feel you, they can feel, because you know the old saying, people don't care about what you know until they know that you care. It's like once you can connect with people from that level, then that's when they're going to actually start to trust you. That's where rapport is built. It's a felt thing. It's not a known thing. And then when you've got that level of rapport, that's when people are going to be willing to follow you. And that following might look like starting a 30-day cleanse. It might look like joining you in this business. And it's a massive one for leadership. If everyone is on here to become a 6-figure earner, to get to the point where you're a 6-figure earner, you need to be leading a big team. And people will not follow a leader that they can't feel. So that's something to just in your personal growth to practice spending some time, spending some time sitting there and get some help with that stuff, because there's a lot of personal development. We can learn new things, but taking some time to actually connect with how we're feeling, because if we can't feel ourselves, then we can't feel other people either. So that's where it starts. But that was a big one from Jen Jeffries. And then the last one was from Jen Patch. So, and the point was become more conscious. But she made an interesting point, because she said there's a bit of a paradox, because when you become more conscious, which basically means just improving your awareness of yourself and everything that's going on around you, when we do that, it can cause our stress levels to go up, because as we increase our level of consciousness, we increase our level of responsibility, because all of a sudden we're aware of what's going on and we can choose. And that's where the old ignorance is bliss comes along. If somebody's just sitting in their 9 to 5 and they're not aware that absolutely everything is available to them, they don't have to take responsibility for deciding one way or another. So as we're increasing that level of consciousness, we increase that level of responsibility, but so we don't increase our level of stress with that, she gave a very step-by-step practical formula of what to do. So if everybody's got their pens again, you can write this down. So basically, you're going to be going about your day, and we'll just relate it straight to the business. You're going to want to make a phone call to someone or follow up or do something that's going to make you uncomfortable. You'll get a bit stressed about it. There'll be some mind chatter. All the millionaires still have all the mind chatter. So when that happens, the first thing to do is feel it. And this is a good practice for getting more connected with how you're feeling. So feel it. So you might be uncomfortable in your chest or whatever. It might be in your gut. It might be around your throat. Like, everybody feels stuff in different parts of their bodies. But the first step is to just feel it and acknowledge it without judgment. The second point, which most people don't do, is breathe. So once you're like, okay, I'm a bit nervous. Okay, what is that? Okay, I'm feeling anxious in my heart. Okay, next step, breathe. And breathe down into your stomach. So diaphragmatic breathing. That's the first thing. The breath is like, it's almost like a circuit breaker. And then reframe the meaning. So the breath is what will take you out of that old pattern of thinking and it's literally just circuitry in our subconscious brain. The breath breaks that. And then you reframe the meaning. So if you're feeling overwhelmed or feeling confused or feeling frustrated, it's reframing the meaning. Odie's just going to town. Reframing the meaning of those feelings. So rather than being like, oh my God, I'm so overwhelmed. Overwhelm is actually a really normal feeling. And the feeling of overwhelm is what we get as we're becoming more aware of things. So our brain is taking in more information than it's comfortable taking in. Awesome. Rather than being like, oh my God, I'm so overwhelmed. It's like, yeah, I'm overwhelmed again. This means I'm taking more in and I'm going to the next level. Or it might be confusion was another one. Confusion is a very natural state to be in. And confusion happens as we're learning. So rather than being, oh my God, I'm confused and overwhelmed and sit in that story, it's like, yes. So once you've noticed the feeling, you've breathed, reframe the meaning of it to a more empowering story and just choose a more empowering story. And then the next step is develop deep gratitude. So once we've done that, so we've felt a bit anxious or whatever, we've breathed, we've reframed the meaning, then go into a state of gratitude. And so people do this different ways. What I like to do is just close my eyes, I'm still breathing, and then just think of something that I'm powerfully grateful for, like family or something that's real easy to just bring your body into a state of gratitude, because we can go into the physiology of it, but basically that releases a lot of what's called DHEA into our body, from our brain into our body, which assists the forming of new neural pathways. So we had an old, crappy, stressed, overwhelmed pathway going. We've stopped. We've acknowledged the feeling. We've breathed. We've reframed the meaning, and we've come into a state of gratitude. And so that gratitude releases what's called DHEA, which helps formulate this new pathway. And then once you've come into a state of gratitude, and this can all take literally 2 minutes, by the way, as well, guys. It sounds like there's lots to do, but it really can take 2 minutes. The last thing to do is move your body. So that's change your physiology. I like to do something just outrageous that your body's not used to. But the main purpose of the movement is to circulate the DHEA, this new chemical that's just been pumped in, around your body while you're reframing that meaning and anchoring it in. So you might jump up and do star jumps. You might just jump up and go for a walk outside the house for 2 minutes. You might do some push-ups, squats, whatever your thing is, but some form of movement to circulate that DHEA. So has everybody got those points? Yep. Cool. So that was massive for me, because it's actually like, you hear, like, it's something that's, in terms of what's been implemented, I've implemented that daily. And again, for business stuff, but other parts of life stress us as well. So whenever we're feeling that stress, it's like, that's never going to go away. But the sooner we can catch it and do this to come back, and we talk about alignment, that's how we get ourselves quickly back to feeling in that state of alignment. And then the last point is that none of doing all of that matters unless you're choosing a new story. So the story might be now that it's difficult, that you get overwhelmed by this, or whatever the story is running. It's hard, you don't have the time, there's a story running. And unless you change the story and start to choose different in those minutes, like Rhea touched on, it was the Jen Jeffries walking down the street. She's not a millionaire because of this one heroic thing that she did. It's just that when she gets to these moments every time, do this and then choose different, and then choose different, and then choose different. And then before you know it, choosing different, it becomes a habit. And that's pretty much it from me. So that was the Real and Raw event, guys. Again, you can't replicate what an event was, but hopefully you got a bit out of that. And this is being recorded, so we'll throw it up so you can get this out to your team. And yeah, if anybody has anything else to add, we're going on 6:25, so we'll wrap it up there. So if everybody just unmute themselves and gives a bit of love.
Holly, just quickly, can we remind everyone there's this Wednesday there's a Be Well info session with I think Rach and Reese are going to run it. So if anyone's got some people, I was really sick last week, so I'll post the link in Bfree page.
Cool. All right, online info session Wednesday night. It's going to be posted in Bfree. Oh, and Love Train.
And there's the Team ISA event Wednesday night in Melbourne as well. So if you've got any team in Melbourne, Ferg, Lockie Horner and Melissa Barberia.
What a lineup.
Yeah, so if you've got anyone in Melbourne, send them out.
Epic. Cheers, guys. Awesome. And then next week, we've got Kylie Donaldson. Just, popping Cameron up in the whole country. So no big deal.
I'll post up a flyer for that for next week. If you could just put your questions in there for her, and then I can send them through to her, guys. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's easy. How do you make $50,000 a week?
Yeah, epic. All right, guys.
Okay.
Epic.
Cheers, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Ciao, ciao.